Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Can Do MS Access to Drug and Healthcare webinar series. This is part 3 on increasing your impact. Joining us today is Kalb, a clinical psychologist, Sara Loud, who is CEO of the Accelerated Cure Project, and Karen Jackson, who is living with MS and is a renowned MS activist. And I'm going to first turn things over to Roz to talk about our agenda today.
Thanks very much, Brian. So what I'm hoping we're all going to talk about for all of you who are watching is ways to become more active with your own MS and with the MS community. And also, what does participant-driven research mean? And what are some ways that you can become involved in it if you choose to do so? We want to talk about some of the pluses and minuses of participating in a clinical trial and what that means and what kinds of trials are out there. And lastly, we really want to give you a flavor for all the different ways that you can be an MS activist. So I want to thank my friends Karen and Sara. I'm thrilled that they were willing to have this conversation with me. They've had an impact on my life, and I'm sure that they will have an impact on yours. So let me start by asking the two of you to introduce yourselves. Karen, you want to go first? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Roz, I'm thrilled to be here with you and Sara to chat about research and advocacy. I live in Washington, D.C. Actually, I live in Alexandria, Virginia, about 10 miles outside Washington, D.C. I graduated from the University of Maryland in 1982 with a BS in kinesiology and a certification as an athletic trainer. I was diagnosed with MS in 1996 when I was 36 years old. So I'm 24 years into my journey with MS, and I'm busier now more than ever so, and that's by choice. I retired from employment, paid employment, in 2016. And now that I say I'm 24 years into my journey with MS, I think it's ironic that my field of study was about the mechanics of body movements. And now, because of my MS, I've had to adapt my entire world, my entire life, to accommodate my needs. I ambulate using a power wheelchair, and I have an accessible van that I drive using hand controls. And both of those technologies have allowed me to continue to be active both inside and outside my home.
Sara, could you now introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Sara Loud. I am the CEO of Accelerated Cure Project, and we are a nonprofit organization. Our focus is on accelerating research. We do that in a variety of ways, but specifically we develop resources for researchers so that a researcher anywhere in the world can come to us and gain access to the types of resources that we develop. One of them that I'd like to mention is our people-powered research network called concur MS.
And can you say what that means, a people-powered research network?
Sure. A lot of times when people are talking about participating in research, they're just thinking about being a quote-unquote subject in a research in a clinical trial. And at Accelerated Cure Project, we believe that the people affected by MS should be much more central to the way that research is done. And so we conceived of iConquer MS, which is a virtual community of more than 6,000 people who have consented to participate in research. And what they do, though, is not just provide data or biospecimens or act as a subject, but they're actually driving and shaping the research and the way that it gets done. So they propose research topics. We engage with researchers, both academic and industry, to tell them what the people in our community view as the highest priority items for research. And they help researchers design their studies, among other things, lots of other ways to participate.
So one of the ways that I've gotten involved with you is through I Conquer MS, and I was at a few of your summits where a lot of this very exciting work went on. Could you describe some of the current interests and focus areas that I Conquer MS work teams are looking at right now?
Yeah, so Roz, you mentioned our summit, which is such an important event for us. So I Conquer MS is governed by people affected by MS. And what that means is that the strategic direction of the entity is driven by what our community members believe are important areas to cover. And at the summit a few years ago, you all helped us set our strategic direction to really expand our population of focus to include care partners, which is a really big and important area for us to be exploring. We also have activities underway to increase the representativeness of minority populations, particularly communities of color, in research, which is incredibly important and just an area of focus beyond what I Conquer MS is contributing to, but it's certainly an area for us. But also other activities such as food as medicine is an area, aging in MS, telehealth, engagement with pharma in appropriate ways that really put the patient and care partners first. So all of those are activities that are underway in our work teams right now.
Great. So for all of you who are listening, I'm hoping that some of those topics piqued your interest and you might think about ways that you want to get involved. So beyond Accelerated Cure Project and I Conquer MS, are there other ways that people affected by MS can get involved in ongoing research?
Absolutely. I think sometimes people think about clinical research only as participating in a drug trial. And while those are incredibly important, and if it's right for you, then I encourage you to do it, there are so many other ways to get involved. You can participate in just a data gathering research program such as NARCOMS. You can participate in I Conquer MS, which goes beyond just collection of data and actually enables people to participate through our governance and through these other ways that I just talked about. There are so many trials that we're helping to enable through I Conquer MS on other kinds of interventions like meditation and mindfulness and exercise as therapy, and really focusing on the types of things that aren't just exclusively drugs, but are other important ways for people with MS and people affected by MS to feel better every day.
So Karen, you are an MS activist in every sense of the word. All the chances I've had to spend time with you and work with you on things, it's because you were passionately involved in something that you cared about. Could you talk first about why the activities of Accelerated Cure Project and I Conquer MS are meaningful to you personally?
Sure. The reason the activities of ACP and I Conquer MS are so meaningful to me are because it's important for me to stay connected to and with the community of researchers who are looking for the answers. And I saw, just as Sara just mentioned, that the mission of I Conquer MS grew as a response to the needs of people like me that are affected by MS that were not being met or not being addressed by the traditional paths of research. And in my world, research and advocacy coexist, and I Conquer MS allows me to do both. I did not understand the power of my data, and I Conquer MS opened a door and my eyes to the opportunity to engage and lend my voice, and to the process of the research that has a direct impact on me and on the lives of all of us that live with this disease. I was able to participate in research from what now has become the norm, from the comfort of my home. And something we never really touch on, but at my own pace. And what I mean by that is I can complete a survey, i.e. contribute my data, and in a timely manner, but I'm not rushed. If I'm completing a survey, it gives me the option to take a break and come back and finish it. And that's really important to those of us who may have fatigue issues and concentration or cognitive issues and need to come back and forth. So yeah, I Conquer MS is really important to me.
So I assume, just one small follow-up question, and when you contribute your data, as you say, or anybody does that, that data is de-identified, it's confidential data, which is then grouped into group data that researchers can analyze. Is that correct?
So
Sarah,
yes, so yeah, sure. Yeah, so the data that we collect via iConquer MS is of course de-identified before it's shared with researchers. And iConquer MS participants, they complete a consent. So all of the privacy and risks and benefits of participating in iConquer MS are laid out for people to review and agree to. But certainly any data that's shared external to the organization is de-identified. The other thing that we use the data for, which I think is a really important consideration, is sometimes researchers will come to us and they'll have a particular interest in people who have lived with MS for a certain period of time, or who have a particular subtype or history with a certain medication or what have you. And that enables us to actually identify the folks in iConquer MS who are right to engage with the researcher. And this gives so many different opportunities for our community to actually, again, engage with researchers in such a way that really helps them define what the research looks like from the perspective of the people affected by the disease.
Ross, can I add to that for a hot second? I think what really was cool to me and really exciting to me about iConquer was that a researcher really wanted to hear my voice and really wanted to hear what I had to say and how I can contribute. And that was a first. So, I was in this game for a long time, and then a researcher actually wanted to talk to me. That was huge.
That was huge. So now can you talk a little bit about clinical trial participation, Karen? I know that you've been in several trials, and I'm interested in why you wanted to do that and what you got out of that experience.
Sure. First of all, let me say that participating in any research, clinical, is a really personal decision and really needs to be considered. There's the pros and cons to participating in any research, but certainly I've done both clinical and I think one of the pro is that you are working with a usually top-notch team, focused, MS-focused team, usually at a university-based setting. The biggest negative at that time, and even today, is still the time, and hopefully we're going to get back to travel, but time is still a huge part of it, because you have to dedicate, maybe an hour, 2 hours to, probably now it's a video chat. But when it was transportation, when I was going to the physical facility, one of them is 45 minutes on a good day with no traffic one way, and then an hour and a half coming home, and then you've spent 2 or 3 hours at the facility. So you really have to be able to be flexible in your schedule if you're still working outside the home, and to be able to participate. So time and travel were the negatives. The positives were if something's coming down the pipe, you're usually going to be one of the first ones to know about it. And like I said, part of the real attraction is being surrounded by a MS-focused team of folks that are participating and that are actually writing the design of the trials.
So Karen, your care and whatever medication you would take if you were part of a trial, that is paid for by the trial? So you get
Correct.
excellent care.
I've done both drug and non-drug trials, if you will. One of the trials that I'm really hoping continues and takes off again, and I don't know how and when and how long this will be, but is a longitudinal lifelong study, and that one's at NIH. And the real excitement is that I've gotten so many of my friends involved in that one. And the caveat is that you have a full head-to-toe diagnostic day of testing, which if you had to do that on the outside would cost in the thousands. So yeah, that's a real bonus. And no, I've never had to pay for any of it. I've not paid for any of the MRIs I've had. But then again, you go back and look at the negative is that you have to pay for travel, gas, tolls. Whereas with trials that I do with concur, that's not part of the program. And so there's bonuses there. You look at both sides of the equation, clinical and surveys.
Sara, do you have any ideas about how these clinical trials that Karen's been describing might change in the future?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, the good news is that even pre-COVID-19, there's definitely a movement towards better understanding the participants' needs in trials. And that's, again, one of the things that concur has helped with. Our community has helped researchers design trials in such a way that better fit the lifestyle of the people involved. And I think you're going to see a continued trend in that way, for sure, because recruitment is always an issue, and a much better way to recruit people into a trial is to do things that accommodate what their needs are and to really listen to them. But even more importantly, as a result of COVID-19, as you're saying, I think we're going to see a real trend towards what's called a virtual trial or a virtualized centralized trial. So something where that isn't necessarily site-based, but that's actually more distributed through a network, say like concur or another type of network. And to the point, I think that COVID-19 has really helped kind of draw the line between what has to happen in person and what might be considered virtual, from our work to certainly to clinical research as well, and our care as well through telehealth.
And Karen, do you have any words of advice about how people should think about an option to participate?
Sure. I think, like I said, it's very personal. And if you are going to participate in a clinical trial, I would suggest making sure that you take somebody with you for the interview or for deciding, and even today if it's virtual, having somebody listen in or be participating with you, because sometimes we don't even know what questions to ask. And so having somebody there to hear and maybe take notes. I also don't think you need to be pressured into signing or consenting that day. You can always say, I'll think about it and I will get back to you in shortly. Let me go home and digest all the information you just shared with me. So never feel pressured ever, because it's certainly, it's a big decision and there's so many variables that play into it. So no, don't ever feel pressured.
Excellent advice.
Take somebody.
I really want to thank the two of you for having this conversation. I think it opens up a lot of doors for people out there who may not even know that they have the option to participate in a variety of trials. Sara, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I'd encourage anyone to come visit concur and learn more. Certainly anyone can reach out to me if you want a more personal conversation about it, but it's a fantastic way to get involved in people-powered, people-centered research. Thanks, Ross.
Anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, I think my closing thought is to remember that we can all participate in research and we can all be activists. At the end of the day, both offer hope. And I ask myself every day, and anybody that's read any of my postings of anything, I ask myself every day, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? And if I'm only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when?
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Roz, Karen, and Sarah. And for more information, please visit the Accelerated Cure Project, iconquerms.org, the National MS Society Clinical Trials page, and clinicaltrials.gov, as well as CanDo MS at cando-ms.org. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.